is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, there he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Eric Edholm, kind enough to join us now, talk a little Dolphins, talk a little NFL, talk a little music. You lucky bastard, you got to see Genesis last week. How about that? I saw you tweet that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I haven't seen them in over 20 years, dude.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been a while. I saw them back in their heyday in the 80s and 90s. So, I want to see. I know this is the last time, Eric.
Right.
I saw Phil the last couple times here in Miami because he lives here in Miami.
Oh, right.
And he did one of his shows. He did it at the Fillmore. And I don't
Beautiful.
know if Fillmore.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's like 2,500 people.
Yep.
Now, tickets were expensive, but it was actually cool. And I saw him a second time, and he was able to stand up to do in the what was it in the night, whatever the song we use here for Miami Vice. What's it called?
In the air tonight.
In the air tonight.
Right.
And he was able to stand up for that one. And it was a struggle for him.
Yeah.
Did he sit for your whole show?
He did. There were a couple of instrumental breaks, some of the longer songs. I want to say Cinema Show or something like that. He kind of gets up from his seated position at the front of the stage and kind of leans on the stage. And right behind him, I mean, anyone who catches this tour is 20-year-old Nick Collins, Phil's kid. And I'm telling you what, I'm kind of a drum dork, but that kid can play, man. I mean, he owned the kit. And their songs have all these weird time signature changes, not all the newer ones, but you know what I mean? Like, this is not, a row your boat. I mean, he was impressive for a kid who had to learn a lot of material. The set list very similar to what they did in Great Britain. So I loved it. It was about what I expected and a little bit better. And like you said, it's a good send off. So I fully give it the Edholm thumbs up on that one.
Yeah, I saw his kid. His kid was the drummer for him on his solo appearances. So I was able to see his kid. And you're right, he is a stud. Do you know about setlist.fm?
Yeah, I've been to the site before. Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so I haven't done it, so I haven't checked to see what the setlist is. Do they do Man on the Corner?
They do not. They did not last night. I don't know if they'll change anything. I don't know if I'm ruining your
No, I mean I've seen him do Man on the Corner. So
okay.
I saw him in his heyday do Man on the Corner. So I'm good, but that's my favorite song, dude. It's
a great one. Yeah.
Love Man on the Corner, bro.
The one treat I'll reveal is they play Misunderstanding, which was kind of an acoustic arrangement that's a little bit different, and they haven't played it since I want to say the 80s. So that'll be for the longtime Genesis fans who want to hear a song they haven't done a lot lately. That's one, but they mix it up a lot.
Right? That's Abacab. Is that Abacab?
So. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Either Duke or Abacab, one of the two, right? Yep.
Yeah. Abacab is just, dude. It's back in the day, it's put in the cassette and just let it roll, or put in the album and just. That's a masterpiece of an album, Abacab.
I agree. Both those albums are great. Absolutely.
Yes. You are so right. I have 3 Sides live, and I still jam that to this day. For me, it's one of the best live albums ever recorded.
Yep. That Little Feat, Waiting for Columbus. The Stop Making Sense, Talking Heads. There are a few albums in that late 70s. Seconds Out, obviously, is another great one, but. Late 70s, early 80s, I felt like was the live album Hall of Fame section, right? Yeah.
UFO also had a great live album. So yeah, back in those days, Peter Frampton, obviously. So
wow. Yeah, right.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. So Eric, we've been going through hell down here. Obviously, we're expecting something good this year, and we did not get it. And so I'm just wondering, from an outsider's point of view, how do you see this whole Tua mess from your side? Do you think they've supported him the right way, or have they brought a young quarterback along the right way in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, I heard your little monologue there before you brought me in about the offensive line construction. Absolutely a fair question. I mean, and you could argue why aren't they featuring the run game more? I mean, all these other sort of ancillary issues. And I think they're legit. They're part of the puzzle of deconstructing where they are with Tua. And look, he's not Justin Herbert, right? He's could he be as good as Joe Burrow one day? I think so. He's got that kind of, experience and potential, big game, stuff that he did in college, obviously. Am I enamored with what I've seen so far? No, but at the same time, how they've handled him really from the moment he got into the lineup was bizarre, right? There was the whole handoff from Fitzpatrick. I thought was the timing of which was a little bit odd from the outside. I get why you wanted to see him play, but then this year as well, especially the whole, well, he's not healthy enough to start, but he can come off the bench and play. That was a little bit bizarre. I felt like it spoke of a little bit of a lack of trust, lack of faith in what they have right now in him. So, how they handle and navigate this offseason and what, the kinds of moves they do, I think will tell us a lot about how they truly feel about Tua and where he sits in the, just in the big picture of the Miami Dolphins.
The last couple of weeks, we've caught a couple players like talking to Tua on the sidelines. Mm-hmm. And then there was one, I don't know if you caught the one of Marino. And Marino got him in the middle of the field and was tapping his face and the whole Italian thing. And you're like, and he's and I've never, dude, I've covered this team for 31 years. I covered the end of the Shula run and the end of the Marino run into Jimmy Johnson.
Right.
So I've been around Dan for a long time. I've never seen him treat anybody like that publicly. And I'm Eric, for me, I've come to the realization that I think the organization, I think players believe in Tua. I think it's the head coach. I think he's the guy that does not, he's treating him like he treated Josh Rosen. And I get that you treat Josh Rosen like Josh Rosen because,
right.
Okay, but this guy's not Josh Rosen. And this guy's a much better quarterback than Josh Rosen, but you have crapped on him because think about this. Let me run this mathematical football equation for you, Eric. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's do this. I'm Brian Flores. Well, you know what? I'm going to put 4 young linemen that have either 1 or no years of experience next to a journeyman. And he's going to be coached by an offensive line coach that has 0 experience developing offensive lines. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be led by 3 offensive coordinators. They're going to be fighting amongst each other. And they've never succeeded as running an offense or putting it together. But they're going to be fighting amongst each other every 45 seconds to see what play is run. Yeah. And we're going to do all of this. And we're not going to have a running game. And we're going to protect an inexperienced quarterback with all of that. Right. So I'm sure you're going to succeed when that equation is all put together. You know what I'm saying?
It's a turn on the phrase, right? Like if you have 2 offensive coordinators, you have none, right? It's like we used to say with quarterbacks, right? I think there's something to be said for that as well. I think identity crisis is really kind of the phrase that comes to mind, whether it's, Tua not knowing what's expected of him, Flores not, thinking that he's going to get what he hopes or expects out of his quarterback into obviously the identity of the offense, you would think would have been a little bit more ground centric given, even with the talent they have at receiver and tight end. I mean, I would still say that, you have to have a little bit of that physicality and help beat people up before you can, start taking your shots and things like that. So if you ask me to tell you what kind of offensive identity they have, I don't know what I would come up with. Is it a rhythm passing game? Well, not really. They feature the screens and they take their shots here and there, but boy, it's got a kind of a chaotic feel to it a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, I think those are all fair questions, and that equation typically doesn't add up unless you have some truly transcendent talents. Now, Jalen Waddle, I think,
I love
special. Him. Yeah, how do you not? Right? He's a difference maker. They've done a good job of trying to volume targets into his hands, but
if they had an offensive line in a running game,
right,
then maybe you could get them downfield and behind the linebackers. But if those linebackers, it's kind of like the whole Derrick Henry effect that Ryan Tannehill, loves, because all those linebackers are all sucked in. So the back of that secondary is open right there in the middle of the field all the time for all those crossing routes. But if you're the Dolphins, you never have that because all your linebackers are on their heels and they're all filling up spaces because nobody fears your running game whatsoever. And it changes the dynamics of the offense. And that's why you're saying that it looks like a rinky-dink offense because, my Lord, the quarterback doesn't have more than a second and a half to get rid of the football.
Yep. I mean, and I kind of compare the situations. I mean, it's apples to oranges, but, there's some overlap, or at least enough where I think we can make a case here. Beginning of the year, the Patriots offense, right? It was still kind of coming together. You didn't really know exactly what they were doing. And yet now all of a sudden you look and they're among the leaders in the most explosive plays, 20-yard plays, 30-yard plays. Yeah, okay, they're not hitting home runs, but they're hitting a lot of singles, doubles, and triples too. And that's developed, right? You've seen it come out after a slow start. You guys beat them week 1, and then now by week 5 or 6, really about the Tampa game is when things started kind of turning a little bit. They weren't that field goal offense anymore. Now, granted, some of this has come against teams like the Jets and, what have you, but I think he
still has more time than Tua. That's the thing, because I was watching it this week, and the kid threw dimes. I mean, he threw dimes the entire day. But I'm watching him going, damn, he gets to sit back and check the field out, and he's got a decent running game. And I just don't see Tua with that. He doesn't have a running back he can count on. He doesn't have Josh McDaniels.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
We can give Josh a lot of guff for some of his career choices, for some of his decisions along the way. I mean, there's no doubt that he's kind of helped derail some of his head coaching opportunities. But as a play caller, when he's in his bag, he's as good as almost anybody. And I think he's done a really nice job with Mac too. I mean, like, he could get better at speeding up his clock at times. He's taken some hits this year.
Sure.
I don't know if they're afraid to let Tua sit back and survey a little bit and give him those 5 and 7 step try. I don't know. I'm just sort of curious to see. I'd love to know what they truly think of him and what they think his limitations and what his capabilities are.
Yeah, well, I mean, even with a fractured finger, he was able to get it downfield to Jalen Waddle.
That's right.
This past week, it's just crazy when the coach is playing Brissett, and then the kid is still somewhat healthy and he can play, and he's your backup. Well, I'd rather have a 70% Tua than 100% Brissett. Come on, dude. I mean, in Green, not that I'm comparing the quarterbacks, but in Green Bay, they wheeled out Brett Favre no matter what, dude. If he had to drag his leg out there, they were going to play him no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely,
you play your number one guy when he's the best player you have at that position, and Tua is definitely the best player. Now, would you make any changes in the offseason? Because we got a lot of Dolphin Nation that wants to get rid of the front office and the head coach, or just some with the front office. Personally, for me, I'll tell you this, and you're a draft guy. I'm now starting to watch Jalen Phillips develop. Holland is going to be a stud. He was already showing things early, but now he looks like he is everywhere. Brandon Jones looks like he has a real future at strong safety all of a sudden. Waddle and Gesicki have been just fine overall on offense. And you start to look, Iggy doesn't develop because he doesn't play. He has 2 starters in front of him. So that part, but really, out of their draft picks now in the last couple of years, it's really all on the O-line. And Eric, dude, you've been covering the draft for a long time. You and I have talked a lot of draft over the years. It's impossible that all 5 of the draft picks that they spent on the line all suck. 1 or 2 have to be good, dude. 1 or 2. To me, it's coaching that is hurting the offense, the offensive line. So in your eyes, what are you seeing now from some of these young guys? Because for me, the problem I see right now is Flo can't build an offensive staff. He keeps changing offensive coordinators and O-line coaches every year, and he's going to have to do it again this year probably. That's been the crutch right now. You've watched the last 2 weeks. The defense has played well. So to me, that's the problem. It's coaching more than personnel. How do you view it?
Yeah, I mean, of the draft picks they used in the last couple of years, I like the majority of them, right? I thought Robert Hunt could be a really good player. I still do. I still think he's got, good talent. Wasn't, wild about Austin Jackson or where they got him. I thought it was a reach. I had a second round grade on him. That was just me personally. I talked to some teams that, felt like he played like a second rounder, but had first round upside. Liam Eichenberg, I thought was a really solid pick, but figuring out his best position was always something that I was sort of curious about, right? Do you play him on the edge? Is he better inside? Right, left. There was some debate.
By the way, my scouts are convinced he's a right tackle, not a left tackle. I
can see it. Yep, I could absolutely see it.
All the guys I've talked around the league, they keep telling me they're playing Eichenberg at the wrong spot. They've got to play him at right tackle, but they probably feel they have no one to play at left tackle, so they're serving the kid up out there. That's what I'm told by other NFL people that are looking at it. I actually had a retired O-line coach that I called him 2 weeks ago, and he goes to me, they're forcing the issue. That kid's a right tackle, but they don't trust anybody to play left, so they're playing him out there. And you know what I've also said, Eric? Eichenberg had better coaching at Notre Dame than he did here. You know what I mean? It's like Tua probably goes, damn, I had better coaching in Alabama than I have here. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's kind of screwed up for some of these guys.
Well, and not to keep bringing it back to the Patriots, I'm sure you guys roll your eyes.
But the example.
Yeah, and obviously Flores cut his teeth in New England, watched Bill operate, and at one point, I think people were kind of touting him as maybe the best of the Bill acolytes who, moved on to head coaching jobs in terms of somebody who could be, his own man, but also kind of learn all the greatest hits of what Bill taught him. But one of the things that I don't hear mentioned a lot is that Belichick has had very few coaches he's had to fire over the years. I want to say Dean Pease was one of them. I want to say they had the offensive line coach, after they lost to the Broncos in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'm Dave. I'm blanking on his last name, but yeah, basically a handful of guys that he's had to terminate over the years, 3, 4 at the most. And so there was always this continuity. Yes, people were rating his staff and always trying to get his assistants, but he always had young developmental coaches, kind of like you have with young developmental players, right? The guys on the practice squad, the rookies who are just getting time on special teams. I think Bill views a coaching staff much in the same way. He'll have, an assistant linebackers coach who he's grooming to be a defensive coordinator one day, or grooming to be an offensive coach, right? I mean, McDaniel spent a year on defense. Eric Mangini spent a year on offense. They've had all these sort of weird cross-training efforts. And again, I don't know if it's the key to life or, the secret to the universe or anything like that, but knowing who your coaches are and managing your expectations properly for them is something that's absolutely crucial for any coach, much, certainly for a young one as well. So could there be change? I could be wrong, but boy, I think it would be a mistake to get rid of Flores. Would be a mistake to just pull the plug and clean the front office house a little bit. But some staff changes wouldn't be stunning at this point. They got to, plug the holes in the dike a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch the front office. I like Greer, I like McKenzie, and I like Marvin Allen. I think that trio is fantastic overall, and over time, I think they'll do a fantastic job. But I actually would change it. Dude, he's going to go into his 4th year, and he's going to find the 4th offensive line coach and the 3rd offensive coordinator. That's a problem, Eric. If you can't, how do you judge a coach if he can't put together a staff? Because Belichick or Shula or Shanahan or Carroll or whatever, as you have success, your coaches are going to leave, dude. They're going to get upgraded. They're going to get other jobs. They're going to get better jobs. They're going to move on. You have to replace people. Part of being a CEO, a manager, a head coach is that you have to replace your employees when they move on and they make better, they better themselves. So that's part of the gift. Shula wasn't great because he did everything. Dude, he had Phil Arnsparger, you know what I mean? He had coaches. He hired guys that were like Mel Phillips was there forever with them, and Mike Westhoff, and he had guys that were really good coaches, like all the great coaches. Bill Walsh had a slew of them that ended up becoming head coaches. So if you can't build a staff, can you really be a head coach in the NFL?
Yeah, I think you're right about that too. And don't be afraid to, admit a mistake and say, all right, this guy, we like him as a coach, but we don't know that this is the best role for him. Let's shift him to something else. And it's a little bit of a jarring thing for a coach to switch positions sometimes. But, when you go back and look at, especially a lot of the successful head coaches in this league, John Harbaugh coached the secondary and was a longtime special teams coach. Other guys, Sean Payton got fired as a play caller in New York. He had a pretty humiliating thing where he had to be the OC who didn't call plays for about 9-10 games one year and was, like a dead man walking on that staff essentially. But, it's okay to have sort of those humiliating situations and kind of learn from them and move on. But yeah, I think picking your staff and giving them the right roles and making sure that coach development is concurrent with player development is crucial.
All right. The AFC is tough to figure.
Yeah.
So out of the Bills, the Patriots, the Ravens, the Titans, and the Chiefs, who do you not believe in going forward?
I don't think you can eliminate the Chiefs. And I said this before last week's game too. I said, are they playing their best football? No. We know that they have the capability to play at that level, and all things being equal, beat pretty much anybody on any given day, right? We've seen them in the past beat the Ravens and the Bills and teams like that. Now this year has been a little different, right? They lost to both those teams. Baltimore scares me with the way their defense has played lately. I don't know that I can fully buy in. I'm not completely on board with New England yet. Yes, they've been trending in the absolute right direction. They're 6-4. It kind of shocked me when I actually saw the standings a little bit. The Chargers are fading. We have to sort of cast some real doubt on them. Tennessee, boy,
without Henry, I don't believe in Tannehill, dude. I'm sorry.
I'm with you. They're tough to contend with. I think they're going to be a hard out. I don't think they're going to go down easily. But I'm with you. Do they have Super Bowl potential? I can't quite go there. So
no. And the Ravens, that secondary is the worst. I agree. That secondary is so bad.
You saw it last week. Busted coverages, playing hyper aggressive at times. So Buffalo, to me, even with the Jacksonville loss,
they're for real, dude. Please.
I agree. They had a bad day at the office that game. I'm not going to let that 1 week completely sully what I've seen otherwise. They're playing at about a B- level right now. When they're at A, they're tough.
So is it Buffalo and the Bucks?
Buffalo or Chiefs, and then on the other side, Green Bay is good. I watched a good amount of that game Sunday, while writing and stuff, and it was a struggle and it was back and forth, a little bit ugly, but it made me remember, boy, defensively, they've kind of come a long way. They've really improved. Joe Barry's done a nice job there, I think. Arizona, we have to see them again with, Kyler and Hopkins and I guess Chase Edmonds at some point. Dallas, kind of what we were talking about with Buffalo. Am I going to kill him for the Denver loss? It was no, but it was shocking. Yeah, throw that one out. Everyone has at least one bad week this year. It's been crazy. The Rams, though, we're starting to see a trend. I don't know what to do with them. The Bucks are in a rut. It's a little less clear, but a little more top heavy in the NFC.
You got bad luck Schleprock too, Odell Beckham.
I know. I'm not.
He appears, he appears and the shitstorm starts. Even though it may not be his fault, although he did contribute to the turnover, but still, I mean, you know what? I actually blame McVay more than anybody else for rushing it and getting him out there. And I know the Robert Woods injury and all that.
Right.
So you want to get another playmaker out there, but come on, man, you just signed the guy. That was typical of that mistake at that moment because of that.
I don't know if it was arrogance, but it was certainly a little bit surprising to kind of see that happen. I mean, that whole game was obviously kind of an abomination in so many different ways. Is Stafford broken? Is the bye week going to help? You got me. I think they're talented, obviously, and they can make a run.
No doubt. And he is talented. Follow him on Twitter, Eric_Edholm, for all of your NFL and rock and roll insight, baby.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Yeah. Eric, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. Excellent segment as always, my man. We'll see you down the line. You be good.
All right. Enjoy the Genesis show, man.
I will, man. I will. I can't wait. Thank you, my brother. There you go. Eric Edholm. Excellent segment there. As always, great information, great insight. Always love having him on. I can talk football with Eric for hours.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.